My dad had a heart attack at a young age at 49. Here I was 29 years old at my annual physical at the doctor. I remember him looking at me and he was like, if you don't lose a significant amount of weight really quick, you're gonna have to go on blood pressure medication. I was making bad choices with my diet and exercise, and I found myself like almost 80 pounds overweight. It was just a weird place to be. I was just like, man, am I gonna be around for my kid's wedding, for college graduation, for high school graduation? Welcome to episode 2 of the Josh Speaks podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in to listen and or watch this. I know there's so many other podcasts out there, and I'm just grateful that you're here today with me listening to this podcast. I want to take you back to 2009, to a day where my life changed forever. I was at my annual physical at the doctor, and I remember him looking at me and he was like, if you don't lose a significant amount of weight really quick, you're going to have to go on blood pressure medication. And then he told me that once you get on blood pressure medication, that it's very hard to ever get off of it because your body can build a chemical dependency on that medication to regulate your blood pressure. So even if years later, you end up losing weight and changing your diet, then you still may have to be on this medication. And I was 29 years old. My wife Jess and I were pregnant with our second daughter, Jordan. And it was a crazy moment for me because my dad had a heart attack at a young age at 49. And here I was repeating that I was making bad choices with my diet and exercise. I was really good about exercising and eating right. And then I wasn't. And then my body's metabolism quickly worked against me. And I found myself like almost 80 pounds overweight, really like that. And it was just a weird place to be. And so I had a lot of thoughts. I had a lot of feelings about, man, I'm 29 years old. I think I had like a size 42 waist at that time. And I mean, I had like a size 30 waist at one point before, a couple years before that. So uh, it was a weird place. I didn't expect to find myself at that age facing that thought of like, you know, here we are with our second child on the way. We were contemplating having more kids after that. And I was just like, man, am I going to be around for my kid's wedding, for college graduation, for high school graduation? It just really got me thinking about my life's choices. And so I got really serious about my health, my diet, my weight loss journey. And I'm like, I was dedicated and really committed to making a change and getting myself in a different place. And so I got on it. I was exercising, I was running, usually 7 days a week, but at least 5, but most of the time 7. I ate super low fat, low calorie diet, and I lost a lot of weight really quickly. He set me a 6-month checkup to follow up with that. And the crazy thing was during that 6 months, Jess and I we started a tradition where we would do a cruise, a 7-day cruise. And during that 6 months of me going on that crazy weight loss journey, we did a 7-day cruise. And I remember on that cruise, every night for dinner, if you've been on a cruise, like they offer you appetizer, main course, dessert. You can have more than one dessert. Like it's good food. It's unlimited food everywhere all the time. There's like pizza till like 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it's it's like temptation everywhere if you're trying to like be on a strict diet. So every night they would come and I would get grilled chicken and vegetables, and the guys like, and I would get no dessert. And the guy was like, dude, like you're on a cruise, have dessert." And I'm like, "You don't understand. Like, I have a goal that I'm committed to, and I'm not gonna let this cruise derail that goal." And so the guy was, I think, a little annoyed with me, but I was more committed to my goal than I was to making that guy happy with me. So, um, I followed up in 6 months. I came back, and the guy was like, he looked in the room and he was like, "Am I in the right room?" He's like, "You know how many people I tell to that they should lose weight and they come back in 6 months and they have the same weight or more weight?" He's like, "What did you do?" You know, like, how did you do it? Did you get a coach? Did you hire a trainer? Did you go on a fad diet? Ozempic or all those other things weren't really popular back then. I don't know when those came out, but he's like, "What did you do?" And I was like, "I just ran it almost every day and I ate really good." And he's like, "Did you do like the Atkins diet?" And I've done a lot of diets over the years. I've done, like keto, I've done all kinds of things, but those are, for me, those were really hard to stay on like indefinitely. And it caused me to like yo-yo, which is, I've learned, not healthy because you lose muscle mass. And then when you get back off of it, you end up in worse shape. And so, um, that visit and that guy changed the way that I thought about my decisions with how I ate and what I did for activities. And so that set me on a journey that I just I don't think I would have, if he wouldn't have told it to me like that and said like, "Hey, if you don't get your act together and you don't get this weight gone, this is what's going to happen to you." And it was a rude awakening for me because it just brought me back to thinking about, I mean, I remember where I was when my brother called me to tell me that my dad had a heart attack. And I was like, man, like, I don't want my kids to get a call like that about me, especially at that age. So uh, it really hit me in a way that caused me to, um, I realized in that moment that I valued my being around for my kids and for my wife and being able to be there to provide not only physically, but emotionally and mentally. And if I wasn't in good health, I wasn't gonna be able to do that. And so it created for me that spark that I needed, and it kind of ignited inside of me a purpose that I had that was always there, but it was awoke in that moment that, um, that guy sort of like flashed before my eyes like, "Hey, dude, if you don't make a change, this is the road you're going down." And so, it caused me to just since then, there's been a couple times where just realistically, like COVID, I had a few too many Oreos there for a couple months, and but that was just short thing, and I'm like, man, I get back on it, and got back on the program. Everybody who follows me on social media knows that I love cookies. I love crumble specifically. And also, I have terrible habit with Coke Zero. Those of you who know me, probably you know that too. But something that I learned is that moderation is a beautiful thing. Like, I love crumble. I make jokes about it. I post on my social media all the time. But in reality, I have a very little amount of crumble every week, and I have a lot of grilled chicken, and I have a lot of protein shakes. Something that I started doing to curb my Coke Zero habit is drinking a lot more water, which is something that everyone has always told me to do. Um, my doctor, my chiropractor, that's been my biggest struggle. But that's something I learned about habits is that it's very hard to quit something without replacing it with something else. And so, um, when I thought about, hey, I just drink less Coke Zero, I found myself just reaching for um, the drink. And so if I have a water there instead, it helps me to stay on that plan of doing what I know I need to do and drinking that water intake that I need. So the you can still enjoy things. I think that a lot of people, when they think about staying healthy and maintaining a healthy weight, they think, well, I won't be able to eat the stuff that I want to eat. And when I was trying to lose and I was going for that goal, I ended up losing, I think, around 80 pounds in 6 months. And so when I was on that path and that was my focus, there was no cheating. I mean, there was no crumble, there was no Oreos, there was no going to Carrabba's or any other place. It was just strict focus. But now, eh, to maintain, there's time, there's things that I eat that aren't good, but it's a minimum. And so that's something that I think many people can hang with and can accomplish. And it's not about, you know, having, for me personally, it's not about being like super muscular and really, having like 4% body fat or something, which would be amazing, but also really hard to maintain, right? Um, so for me, it's about being healthy, making good choices. I still have a little bit of crumble. I still eat, some things that aren't good for me, but I eat a lot of things that are good for me. I eat a lot of lean protein. I started doing Greek yogurt now that's really good. Like, started looking for things with less ingredients. If you're someone who likes to read ingredients, if you're someone who cares about your health, I recommend that you look at the ingredients. It's crazy to me when I started looking at ingredient labels, how many things are in, just like a yogurt that you find that most people eat. I don't want to call out like any name brand in particular, but they all like pick up any one when you're at the store, you look at it, there's like 57 ingredients on that thing. And you're like, how does it take 57 ingredients to make yogurt? And then I found a yogurt that there's like 3 ingredients or 4 ingredients. And I'm like, okay, this is the one that I want. And so just little adjustments like that you can make over time will help you to maintain good health. And that's something that's a journey that I'm on. I follow uh, lots of different things on Instagram and listen to different podcasts about ways I can learn to be more healthy, healthier choices that you can make with food. There is it's always changing and there's so much to do there, but I definitely, that's something that has helped me to um, be more present in my career, more present with my family. And it's one of the choices that I made that I'm probably most proud of and most thankful that I made, because it's affected every other area of my life. Being able to do the things that I want to do when the kids want to go out and run around, when they want to have friends over and do tubing on the lake, I have the energy that I need to be able to do that. Whereas, if I kept the eating habits and was so overweight and my blood pressure was where it was, I would have a lot harder time doing that. I would have missed out on so many experiences personally with my wife, with my kids. And so, our health just affects so much. I heard somebody say, like, about health specifically, this probably applies to anything, but, simple things you could take for granted until it's not there. You don't make time for your health until one day you hit a brick wall and your health is the only thing that you can think about, because you're broke. You can't do anything. You're laying in a hospital bed, and that's just a place that I didn't want to find myself at 39 or 49 or 59. And so everyone has genetics, I'm not a doctor. I don't know all the intricacies of that, but I know some people have an easier time and a harder time maintaining weight. And I definitely was one who had a harder time. I could gain weight. I sniff a slice of pizza, I gain weight. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, it's bad. But I decided that I was gonna stop shooting myself in the foot with a giant bazooka. And so I made those choices and I said, hey, look, I cannot control my genetics, but I can control what I put into my mouth, and I can control getting some exercise. And so I decided, hey, I'm going to control what I can control, and I'm going to make better choices on average. And I'm still going to eat some things that I want here and there, but it has to be the exception and not the rule. And I was reversing it at that time. And I created a very destructive habit that that I'm very glad that I made a change for. So thank you. I cannot remember the name of the doctor who I met with on that day in 2009, but I'm thankful that you gave me that wake up call. And I'm thankful for those choices that I made since then. And if anybody has any questions about their journey, feel free to reach out to me in my social media, and I'm happy to connect and share whatever I can to help you and be a resource for you in any way that I can. Thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of Josh Speaks, and I can't wait to see you guys next time.